Let's say you want to own a bank, not work at one, not have an account at one. Own one, because the Commonwealth Bank made $9.8 billion in profit last financial year from Australians who had no real choice but to use them. So yeah, owning a bank sounds like the greatest business ever invented. The problem is what it actually costs to build one and why some of the smartest people in Australian finance have watched institutions they spent decades building collapse in a single week. So let's talk about how it actually works. Most people picture a bank as a very secure storage room. You bring your money in, they guard it, you take it out when you need it. That is not a bank. That is a locker. A bank is a machine that turns other people's money into profit. Every dollar you deposit is not sitting in a box with your name on it. The moment it lands, it starts working. Your savings account pays you 2%. Your mortgage charges you 6%. The bank sits in the middle and quietly pockets the gap every single day on billions of dollars. And here's the part that makes banking unlike any other business on the planet. When a bakery sells bread, the flour is gone. When a bank lends your deposit is still there. You can still see it in your app. You can still withdraw it tomorrow. But the bank has already lent it to someone buying a house in Parramatta. This is not fraud. It's called fractional reserve banking, and it is the foundation of the entire Australian economy, right? So you want to build one of these machines. How much does it cost? Before you take a single deposit or make a single loan, you've already spent between $15 and $50 million, and you've spent up to 3 years filling out paperwork for APRA, the Australian Prudential Regulation Authority, the regulator that decides whether you're even allowed to call yourself a bank. APRA does not hand out banking licenses like Bunnings sausage sizzle vouchers. You need adequate capital, a credible business plan, a management team that knows what they're doing, and a risk framework that can survive being stress-tested by people whose entire job is finding holes in it. And then there's the capital requirement itself. Under APRA's current rules, if you want to write $100 million in loans, you need to bring roughly $10 to $15 million of your own money to the table first, before staff, before technology, before the compliance lawyers who will spend months keeping you out of trouble. We haven't made a single loan. We haven't earned a single dollar. And we've already spent millions just for permission to operate. Now you're open, and the real costs begin. Payroll, technology, cybersecurity, compliance, APRA levies, ASIC oversight, loan loss provisions. The Banking Royal Commission in 2018 made every single one of these more expensive, and you can't cut corners on any of them because the regulator is watching and the fine for getting it wrong is existential. So how do banks actually make money through all of this? The engine is the net interest margin. Borrow cheap from depositors, lend expensive to borrowers, keep the spread. But smart banks don't stop there. Account fees, mortgage establishment fees, card interchange fees. Every time you tap your bank's card at a cafe, the bank takes a cut. Wealth management, institutional banking, foreign exchange. The Commonwealth Bank generated over $26 billion in total operating income last year, not profit. Income from Australians doing everyday things. That number exists because of one word: scale. The margin on any single transaction is tiny. Multiply it across millions of customers and trillions of dollars, and tiny becomes extraordinary. But here's the trap nobody talks about when they fantasize about owning a bank. Let's run the actual numbers on your hypothetical. You've raised $15 million in capital. You've got your APRA license. You've built a loan portfolio of $100 million with a net interest margin of 2.5%. Gross revenue after fees, around $3.2 million. Now subtract payroll for a minimal team, $1.8 million. Technology, $400,000. Compliance and legal, $350,000. Regulatory levies, $90,000. Loan loss provisions, $250,000. Premises, $180,000. Total expenses, $3,070,000. Net profit, $130,000 on a $15 million investment. That is not a typo. And that's the good scenario. Now interest rates move against you. Deposit costs rise immediately. Your fixed-rate loan income stays flat. Net interest margin compresses. You're losing money every month, or a recession hits. Unemployment rises. Borrowers miss repayments. Loan loss provisions blow out from $250,000 to $1.5 million, still losing money every month. The difference between a great year and a catastrophic year can be $2 million on a bank this size, and your entire capital cushion is $15 million. 2 bad years back-to-back, and APRA is calling. And before you think this is theoretical, it isn't. In 1990, the State Bank of Victoria collapsed. Aggressive loans into Commercial property prices fell. Loan book hemorrhaged. Victorian taxpayers paid $2.4 billion to clean it up. The State Bank of South Australia collapsed the same year for identical reasons. Another $3 billion gone. These weren't reckless cowboys. They were experienced bankers running established institutions. What destroyed them was structural. They concentrated their loan books into assets whose value depended on conditions they couldn't control. When those conditions changed, the math stopped working. And here's the final piece that nobody puts in the business plan. The entire system runs on trust. Every bank in Australia, every mortgage, every savings account, every business loan exists on one single assumption, that not everyone asks for their money back at the same time. In the age of smartphones, withdrawing your money doesn't require queuing outside a branch. It requires opening an app. Fear spreads at the speed of a group chat, and a bank that is technically solvent on Monday morning can be facing collapse by Thursday afternoon, not because the loans went bad, but because enough people got scared at the same time. That is not a theoretical risk. That is banking. So if you still want to own one, and look, $9.8 billion in annual profit is genuinely hard to argue with. Just understand what you're actually buying. You're not buying a vault. You're not buying a predictable income stream. You're buying a machine built entirely on other people's trust. The Commonwealth Bank made $9.8 billion last year because 10 million Australians trusted it enough not to move their money. That trust is the product, and the day it isn't, no capital buffer in the world moves fast enough.